If you ever wondered what it's like to live in Jupiter, Florida, this video is for you. Today, we are going to discuss the pros and the cons of living in Jupiter, Florida. My name is Ray Fernandez. I'm with Living in Palm Beach, Florida, powered by eXp Realty. Welcome. If this is the first time to our channel, please consider hitting that subscribe button over there in the corner. While you're at it, ring that bell. What that'll do is that'll help notify you each time we put out new videos. We put out new videos every single week. We talk about all things going on around Palm Beach, Florida, all things South Florida. So if you're wondering what it's like to eat, sleep, and drink here in this beautiful part of the world we call sunny South Florida, this is the channel for you. 15 years ago, my family and I moved to this beautiful part of the world, and we haven't looked back. Today, we find it truly an honor to help people, perhaps like you, relocate to this place we call Palm Beach, Florida. We help so many people relocate to this beautiful part of the world we call sunny South Florida, and we absolutely love it. Today we're going to talk about the pros and cons of living in Jupiter, Florida. But before I do that, let me lay some of the groundwork out as to what Jupiter is all about. Jupiter is the northernmost part of Palm Beach County. It's part of the Miami metro area. It's about 87 miles north of Miami. So it's one of the most northern parts you can go and still be in the Miami metro area. It's a population of about 56,000 people. So it's not small. It's one of the bigger areas in northern Palm Beach County. If you live in Florida, a lot of the population in all of Palm Beach is on the eastern part of the coast here, but in Jupiter, in fact, is no exception. I did a video recently on living in Palm Beach Gardens and also the pros and cons of Palm Beach Gardens. So if you're looking at a map, Jupiter can be found just north of Palm Beach Gardens. So the first pro on living in Jupiter, Florida is it has a fantastic beach. In fact, it's one of the nicest beaches not just in Palm Beach County. It's one of the nicest beaches in Florida. In fact, it's one of the nicest beaches on the east coast of the United States. So a couple of publications actually have labeled it, in fact, the 12th best beach town in the United States. And Coastal Living, that publication, also labeled it as the 9th happiest coastal village in the United States. One of the things I like to do more than anything, especially when it comes to Jupiter, is to watch the sunrise. There are a few places in Palm Beach County that there's about three of them that I really like a lot to watch the sunrise, which is one of my favorite things. And Jupiter is one amongst those three. Jupiter does not have the long pier that you will find in nearby Juno Beach, or that you might find also in Lake Worth, the Lake Worth Pier. It has a short pier. But it's the home of the Jupiter Inlet. We have a lot of people do take advantage of fishing there. It's a shorter pier, and you can literally watch the boats go by while you're at the end of that pier and watching the sunrise. It's just an amazing experience. I highly recommend if you get a chance to do it. You won't regret it. Trust me. So one of the cool things about if you live in Jupiter, it is literally possible to have a boat in your backyard, docked in your backyard. And in one of the canals and along the intercoastal back in the back waterway back behind, west of the ocean, you can have your boat docked in your backyard, get up in the morning, get on your boat and head right back into the ocean. It is one of the most popular areas for fishing, and not just that, the beauty of that area is just incredible. It's picturesque. We have it's the home of the Jupiter Lighthouse, which is sort of like the symbol of Jupiter, and in fact, it's sort of like the symbol of Palm Beach as a whole. Also, you have the beach is really nice. You have the pier I was talking about, the fishing. You can walk along the walkway with the pier there. If you continue down, you come to a place called Dubois Park. So if you have young swimmers, if you have kids that are not strong swimmers or just too young really to be a strong swimmer, Dubois Park is a great place where the water is actually rather calm, and you don't have the issue of the fierce ocean water. So it's a great place. There's a lot of other things there, things for the kids to do. So if you want a relaxing place near the ocean, Dubois Park is a great alternative to sitting on the beach in Jupiter. The other thing about Jupiter is actually that's near Juno Beach. So literally those two beaches, which I find to be two of the nicest beaches in Palm Beach, are literally very close to each other. And so if you live in Jupiter, it's really quite easy to get to Juno Beach. As a whole, when you're looking at why Florida, one of the reasons Florida is so popular, its beaches, is that the water is actually very, very warm. So if you're from California, it's a lot cooler out there. There's less humidity out there. More on that later. There's less humidity out there. So the waters here in South Florida stay warmer. In January, and here we are, we're just beginning of February here now on filming this in 2022. In January, the water temperatures are really warm enough that you can go in where I find that in the other parts of the country, that's just simply not possible. You will see in our springtime, the waters will be filled with swimmers enjoying the beautiful beaches we have here in Florida. So in a nutshell, Jupiter is one of the most scenic, one of the most picturesque places in the United States. All right, here's one of the cons when talking about Jupiter, Florida. If you do not like humidity, Jupiter is not for you. The summers in Jupiter, Florida are long. The weather, the way it works here, the weather patterns is we have one long dry season, one long wet season. We're in the middle of the winter right now, and it rarely rains, just the way it is. Come the rainy season, and when beginning of the summer, it starts about May, end of May in particular, we'll get a lot of rain. Humidity really picks up. So if you live in like Arizona or California and you don't like the humidity, Florida and Jupiter, Florida is not the place for you. Having said that, in January, the typical high in January is about 75 degrees. And the typical low is 55 degrees. In the wintertime, the humidity is not there. So that's why you will find a lot of people will make South Florida and Jupiter their home in what we call the season, the wintertime here in Jupiter, Florida. Another pro with living in Jupiter, Florida is there are a tremendous amount of awesome, really nice restaurants here in this part of the county. Let me go over a couple of areas that you can find some of these restaurants. One of the nicest places that they built in Jupiter, Florida is a place called Harborside. Harborside is probably only about 5-6 years old now. They have really nice restaurants. There's a Mexican restaurant there I actually do like a lot. So they have nice restaurants, and not just that, it's also next to the docks. So if you want to go for lunch and then walk the docks and watch the boats go by, it's a great place for it. I need to say that since I mentioned boats, Florida is the boating capital of the world. It's also the fishing capital of the world. So that's one of the notorieties. If you're a fisherman and you love boating, Florida is definitely a place you need to check out. As you finish your dinner or your lunch at the Harborside, you go down to the dock, you see the boats go by. The boats come in all different sizes. What I like to do is I like to look across the way and see some of the homes that are off that waterway. Some of the most expensive, not expensive so much compared to other parts of the county, but some of the nicest homes in the world really are right along the water here, and you'll find in this along that waterway. In South Florida, eating outside is very, very popular, especially now this time of year in the winter time. As I mentioned, the typical January temperature is high 75 and goes down to 55. So at night, if people are having an early dinner and they're eating outside, which is very, very common here, and it's a little bit on the cool side. And when I say cool, you got to appreciate this, and people from north might not be able to until you live here. We think 50 degrees here in Florida is cold, believe it or not. So what they have these heaters that they'll put next to your table. So if it gets down to the 50s, maybe God forbid the high 40s, that's a great way to keep you comfortable. Nonetheless, one of the most popular things to do when you're dining here in South Florida is to eat outside. The other thing they have in Harborside, if you're looking for a place to stay while you're looking for property in the area and you want to sort of treat yourself nice to a nice hotel, within Harborside there's the Wyndham Grand Hotel. So if you're looking at Jupiter, Florida, one of the places I would check out is Harborside. Now, moving on, continuing on the theme of restaurants, near the lighthouse, as I mentioned, near the beach, you can walk that walkway along and you can see the lighthouse. But a little bit down the street, they have a place that I like to call Restaurant Row. So along Restaurant Row, what you have there is you have a series of nice restaurants, really nice restaurants. And when I say nice, because they're not like how do you say, like chain franchise restaurants. These are unique restaurants. Along that little strip there, you have Jetties, you have Lucky Chuck's, you have the Beacon, and so when so it's more of an experience. It's not just going to a restaurant. There's things to do outside. There's actually right out there. You can take a short cruise actually, right from that area. You overlooking the beauty of the Jupiter Lighthouse. So if you want a really nice, memorable dinner, or lunch for that matter, or late lunch, that would be a place I would definitely check out. I call it the Jupiter's Restaurant Row. Right down the street is a place, another very unique restaurant. It's called Guananaba's. It's sort of an island style resort. Again, I like to take my family to these places. It's just a lot of fun. I live in Wellington, so it's a little bit of a ride. It's about half hour, 45-minute ride, but it's so worth it. And if you go there, lots of times, because in Guananaba's, there's going to probably be a wait. Depends on the day of the week and all that, but more than likely you'll have a wait. But the thing about it is the beauty of the area is you just don't mind. They have these chairs, you just sit down and you can watch the boats go by, and you take in all the atmosphere that they have at this, in this beautiful restaurant. Go ahead, hit that like button. What that'll do is that'll help get more people in to watch our videos. This way we can help more and more people move to this beautiful part of the world we call South Florida. Here's another con when it comes to living in Jupiter, Florida. Jupiter, Florida as a whole, the northern part of the county, and Jupiter specifically, is rural. All right, so if you're looking for a place where you have a street, an avenue with a lot of nightlife and so forth, Jupiter's not your place. If you look at the southern part of the county, places like Boca Raton and Delray Beach, that's where you find that very active lifestyle where you could walk. In Delray, I've talked about this in some of my previous videos. They have the avenue, it's called Atlantic Avenue. You can walk down there in all the streets. You sort of don't have that. The main street through Jupiter is Indiantown Road, and it's more of a rural road. So while you have the harbor side and while you have these restaurants along the lighthouse, if you're looking for a very active area where there's like a lot going on and all that, then Jupiter's not your place. One of the pros when it comes to living in Jupiter, Florida, there's just a lot to do here. You have Jupiter, Juno Beach, Tequesta, that whole northern part of Palm Beach is filled with surfers. So if you're a surfer, it's one of the best places for that. Because the weather is like so nice, like again in January, the highs are like lots of days 75. There's just a lot of stuff you can do all year long. As an example, we're starting our softball team we're starting our new season. We've had 2 previous seasons from last year, and we just here we are at the beginning of February. We're able to play softball all year long. So it's one of the things that I like about South Florida as a whole. You can do stuff all year long. I find that a lot of people that are into fitness really do appreciate Florida. You will find in the mornings, whether it's jogging along the picturesque Juno Beach or Jupiter Beach, or just the Ocean Boulevard and some of these other areas, people like to get their exercise in. They do it in the morning lots of times, especially in the summertime when things get a little bit hot, to get it in. You will see in the mornings, you'll see people jogging along the beach. You'll see people rollerblading in the streets along the ocean. You'll see bicycling. Again, if you're into activities, Jupiter is a fantastic place. Also along the ocean, you'll see people kayaking and swimming. And in terms of water sports, you can't beat what we have here in Jupiter, Florida, that people like, and I mention it for one reason, is golf. I know there's other places around the country where golf is also popular, but I'll say this. If you're a professional golfer, even if you're not a professional golfer, there are more professional golfers that choose to make Jupiter their home than any other place in the entire world. Continuing with sports, the other thing we have here is we are a great spring training home. Jupiter has 2 Major League Baseball teams that train in Roger Dean Stadium here in Jupiter. Those 2 teams are the St. Louis Cardinals and the Miami Marlins. Also, in general, Palm Beach County, we have a lot of, it's like a hub when it comes to spring training. You have the New York Mets up in Port St. Lucie. They built a park a few years back called Ballpark of the Palm Beaches, which is in West Palm Beach. There you have the Washington Nationals and the Houston Astros train there. So we have a lot of professional baseball teams that train here in the month of March for spring training. You will find a lot of avid baseball fans will literally come down here to South Florida and to Jupiter and to stay and throughout the month of March to watch all the spring training games. My family and I, we love going there because it's such a laid-back atmosphere. The games don't count, right? So it's just sort of practice. Lots of times what we do is we sit in the berm, behind the outfield, and we'll get there for batting practice, which is the best thing to do. And the players will be hitting lots of times home runs over the wall, and you're sitting there with your glove catching the balls during batting practice. If you want a great experience with your family and you're into baseball, I highly recommend checking out the spring training scene here in Palm Beach. I'll give you another con when it comes to living in Jupiter, Florida, is hurricanes. Related to the weather, we do have the risk of hurricanes here in Jupiter, Florida. Our main month that we worry about most, and where we see the most of our hurricanes, is September. Floridians in general have learned to deal with it, but because of the hurricanes, our homeowners insurances are a little bit higher. The homes are built very strong here. That's one of the pros regarding this. We have some of the best built homes here in the whole country to prepare for the hurricanes, but we do get hurricanes, and it's one of the scary things that we do have to contend with. So one of the cons is we have to contend with hurricanes during the hurricane season here in Jupiter, Florida. Let me review some of the real estate options. So you have an area in Jupiter that's extremely expensive. It's called Jupiter Island. It's actually part of Jupiter Island, actually, is not even in Palm Beach. Part of it is in the neighboring northern county of Martin. So there is some very, very expensive real estate. If you want a home that's off the water, again, you're going to pay a little bit more for that because the convenience in being able to drive your boat right into the ocean from your backyard, which I think is pretty cool. But there's also some places, if you go a little bit further west, you can get some really good values. There's a new community coming up that I've been discussing with one of the prominent builders down here. It's called the Reserve at Jupiter. More on that. They're going to start, they're breaking ground now, and they're going to have homes, models available in March. So reach out to us if you want to know the new construction options you have in Jupiter. But the landscape in general in Jupiter for real estate is actually quite unique. If you want a lot of land, there are places in western part of Jupiter we call Jupiter Farms. You can literally have a home sitting on 1.5 acres, and not just that, you can have that luxury, and also you're very close to the beach, as I've been describing. The other thing I want to mention, because it's one of the questions we get asked more than most other questions, is how are the schools? The schools in Jupiter are highly rated, so that's one of the attractions to people who choose to make Jupiter their home, is the schools are considered good and very well respected. Whether you're taking your kids to visit the Loggerhead Marina, where we have the home of the largest population of sea turtles here in Jupiter and in Juno Beach, whether you're doing that, whether you're exploring the historic shipwrecks that have taken place along Jupiter, my point is, if you're considering making a move to sunny South Florida, I would highly recommend checking out Jupiter, Florida.